I'm sure I'm not the first person to talk to you about how you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But when I heard this for the first time, I remember immediately thinking, so I spent a lot of time with him at school, my parents of course, but then I also spend time sporadically with that group. And then I remember thinking, no, I'm not the average of those 5 people. That's because there's so much more to this. For the rest of this video, I'll refer to these actors as voices instead of people because I think it's a much more accurate way of describing what I'm talking about. Because when you're scrolling or reading, when you go somewhere and you're listening to a podcast, audiobook, or even music, those are voices that are entering your mind. I'm currently listening to an episode from the Modern Wisdom podcast with Alain de Botton, I hope I've said that name somewhat correctly, a British author and philosopher. And at the beginning of the episode, he talks about how our inner voice is just a culmination of outer voices that we've willingly or unwillingly internalized. And I believe this to be very true. We are a pure product of our environment. When I came to this realization, the first thought that crossed my mind was, well then, I don't have any control. What's the point if I'm just a product of the external world? Where does my internal agency come into play? It comes into play when you consider the fact that you can sculpt your environment to the T. Now here I think we've outgrown another term. Environment, which I would like to replace with lifestyle, because that's essentially what I'm talking about. If, as I've discussed, our environment goes beyond the people in our life and their voices, then that environment becomes what we would call our lifestyle, which is made up of our everyday choices and actions. You become the average of all the voices that you allow your lifestyle to feed you. And you know, it's funny because the way you have spent your time in life from the second you were born to you watching this very second of this YouTube video right now has created a 100% accurate and fair representation of that time, which guess what is you. Your physical appearance, your body language, your intelligence, your personality, frankly, everything about you. Please just realize that your inner voice, that voice that is, was, and always will be there for the rest of your life and guides your every action. That voice is the average of all the voices you allow to infiltrate you, good and bad.